I'm Tiffany Robertson. I'm here today with Michael McMillan for a 10 questions and 10 minutes interview. It's lovely to meet you.
Thank you for having me.
So, what does your role as Director Society Ethics Training within the CFA Institute entail?
Well, to begin with, for the past 9 years at CFA Institute, I have done ethical decision-making workshops, principally to universities, employers, and asset owners. But what that has entailed has been me flying around the world providing these workshops. And as much as I enjoy it, other people need to do what I do. So now, as Director Society Ethics Training, my role is to train CFA charter holders who are volunteers to provide these workshops to employers, asset owners, and university students in their regions or jurisdictions.
So what directed your career to this role?
You know, I have to tell you, in some ways it was somewhat luck. I am a former university professor of accounting and finance. So when I started at CFA Institute, I was actually the director of curriculum projects. And my role in that position was to develop curriculum for the CFA program, specifically level 2 and level 3 readings. Well, one day someone came up with this idea that I might be good talking about ethics to investment professionals, given my background as a professor and given the fact that I used to write ethics questions for the CFA examination. So they came and asked me, would I like to be the Director of Ethics and Professional Standards? And so that's how my role began in ethics.
What would you consider to be the most rewarding aspect of your job?
I am a former professor, so I love the teaching aspect of my job. I love being able to go out and continue working with university students as well as with investment professionals. And my goal is that I hope I have an impact on them, that I encourage them to think about the consequences and or perceptions of what they're doing before they do them. So if I can make people a little bit more ethical or raise their ethical behavior, that is the most rewarding part of my job.
Can you teach people to be ethical?
No, actually you can't teach people to be ethical, but we can encourage people to think about what they're doing before they do it. And here's why I say this, is that there's a difference between unethical people and unethical behavior. And most of the people who get into trouble are not bad or unethical people, it's their actions that turn out to be unethical. And the primary reason why people sometimes fall into that ethical trap is because they're not thinking before they're acting.
Do you find that individuals often overrate their own behaviour?
Yes, I think people are overconfident in their own ethics, and that's very dangerous. Because if you begin to think, I'm more ethical than they are, it won't happen to me, that's when you're not thinking about what you're doing before you do it.
What role does regulation play in improving ethical conduct?
I think regulation provides a guide to help people know what is right or wrong. But there's a difference between the law and ethics. Law really represents the minimum standard that we all must follow. Ethics really represents a much higher standard. So what I mean by that is that the law really tells us what we can and cannot do. Ethics really focuses upon what we should and shouldn't do. And when you look at the financial crisis in 2008, there were so many of the activities that precipitated the crisis that were legal, but they weren't ethical. So what we want people to do is, one, understand what the rules are, but go one step further and live up to the values of the organization or of the profession.
How does greater gender and racial diversity influence ethical behaviour within a firm?
I hope that people that come from different backgrounds, that are both men and women, look at ethical dilemmas in a different way. And so sometimes having various viewpoints can provide more guidance when it comes to not only identifying ethical issues, but also developing approaches to those ethical issues as well. That's why I think it is so important, and that's why the CFA Institute is really trying to increase the global diversity of the investment management industry.
The financial services sector is increasingly disrupted by new innovations and technologies. How do you see this impacting ethics and professional conduct within the industry?
I think that the increase in technology within the industry is still not going to affect people's ethical behavior, because in the final analysis, clients are coming to individuals for guidance and for knowledge. And it is still the responsibility of investment professionals to provide appropriate guidance and knowledge, no matter what is going on in the background in terms of having computers select asset allocations or specific investment products.
Who do you look up to and why?
I have to tell you, I hope this doesn't sound trite, but I still look up to my father. My dad is 99 years old and is still going very strong. And here's why I say this, is that when my dad was in business, whenever he entered into a business agreement with someone, the agreement was sealed with the shake of a hand. My dad looked that individual in the eye and knew that that person was going to do what they said they would do, and that individual looked my father in the eye, knowing that my father was going to do what he said he was going to do. And this is still the way my father does business to this day. But fast forward to look at how we now do business in most areas. When we enter an agreement with someone, each person has an army of lawyers that's standing behind them. And then you're forced to sign stacks of papers promising that you're going to do what you said you were going to do, as opposed to a simple handshake.
So what advice would you like to share with current Otago students?
I would say follow your passion. Do not take a position just because it's going to earn you a good salary. Back to my father, my dad said, if you enjoy what you do, you will never work a day in your life. So I certainly encourage people to follow their passion, to really do what they want to do. That would be the primary thing. Also, I would say that no one's career goes in a straight line. If you would have asked me 20 years ago what I would be doing today, it would not be what I'm doing today. However, I thoroughly enjoy what I'm doing, but as I said, you may start out saying I want to do A, but 5 to 8 years later you end up doing D, just because you've developed different likes, dislikes, interest over that period of time.
Thank you very much, Mike, today for giving us some of your time, and it was really lovely to meet you.
Thank you, it's been my pleasure.